When you enter into prison, it's pretty fair to say you've hit rock bottom and have nothing left to lose. Now the New South Wales Government is making sure this is the case by cutting funding to the Prisoners Aid Association and selling the small memories that inmates have left of their former lives. For 112 years, Prisoners Aid, a small community organisation, have been assisting New South Wales inmates and people on remand.
Over the time we've been running, we would have helped many thousands of people who have been in the New South Wales correctional system.
Prisoners Aid has been storing inmates' personal possessions and providing banking and post-jail services for ex-offenders for the last 30 years.
In the last financial year, we provided services on 5,000 occasions within the jails that we're funded to go to, and we're currently store property for approximately 1,000 inmates.
Prisoners Aid also helps ex-offenders with identification documents such as passports and driver's licences. Inmates need these on their return back into society.
For the past 24 years, prison inmate Alan has been doing time. He has one small box of memories stored with Prisoners Aid. Alan wrote to us from his prison cell stating he had lost almost everything during his time in prison. "I never had a great deal, but did have a lot of issues, one of which was alcoholism," he writes. Now Alan stands to lose all that he has to show for his life before jail. In February this year, the Prisoners Aid Association sent hundreds of New South Wales inmates a letter warning them of the Prisoners Aid funding cuts, telling inmates they had to collect their property by March 31st or face the property being sold. Margaret has a family member in jail who has property stored at Prisoners Aid. She doesn't want to show her face because she is concerned her family member could face retaliation from within the prison.
I was a bit shocked because I feel that the Prisoners' Aid is something that's very necessary. A lot of the inmates have no family to support themselves, or their family have cut them off. Some of them are for overseas, and they have no one else to turn to. And when we first had the problem in our family, Prisoners' Aid were very, very kind and helpful. I just think that it's not a service, but a necessity.
Foreign inmates have expressed their concerns to Margaret during her visits to the jail. Many of them have said they cannot afford to have their possessions sent to them from Prisoners Aid.
They're all distressed. The people that don't have any family are really confused and a bit desperate as to know how to cope with it.
Prison inmates' last piece of identity is held within these stored possessions. These funding cuts are taking away the last shred of security the inmates have.
When you're being locked away for many years, you're scared of the outside. It's causing a lot of concern to people who are already very stressed out about how they're going to face the future.
It's such a foul blow. I mean, to take away the access to personal possessions. We're talking about letters from mothers, from loved ones, from photographs, irreplaceable photographs. So people won't have a history. Now that's a major emotional loss.
Prisoners Aid appears to be the discarded meat in the state government's stripped-down sandwich, tossed aside and forgotten.
Both the Officers of Corrective Services Commissioner Peter Severin and the State Attorney General and Minister for Justice Greg Smith have refused interviews with us.
In November 2013, Shadow Attorney General and Minister for Justice Mr Paul Lynch raised the question of Prisoners Aid funding cuts to the New South Wales Parliament. The government took a month to respond. They said the community funding program that supported Prisoners Aid had been reviewed and resulted in the development of the Funded Partner Initiative. Tenders for the FPI were invited, but the Prisoners Aid Association did not submit a tender application.
In the middle of 2013, Corrective Services approached Prisoners Aid about expanding their services to New South Wales jails. Quickly backflipping, Corrective Services deleted the inmate support stream from the tender process.
Those are the services that we've been providing for 20 to 30 years.
If Prisoners Aid had applied for the tender, the money from the tender would not have covered the storage of inmates' property or the inmate banking services.
The state government seems reluctant to acknowledge the psychological effects these funding cuts may have on isolated inmates.
Inmates who already have so little now stand to lose the last fragments of their tangible memories of life outside of jail. And so the inmates wait. The state government is not on their side, and neither is time. Caroline Helen Prisabella, Your News.